Hello everyone, and thanks for tuning in. In today's tutorial we're going to cover picture-in-picture. We're going to put very nice looking borders or frames around our videos. You can animate your videos and put them in different areas of the screen and do many other things. You can do different shapes, you can do it without borders, you can even create extruded images with very nice borders with a video on the front and also a video on the rear. So let's get started. Okay, I've already got a 5-second clip loaded into my timeline. The first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to come over here to Add Spline Primitive. Click on that. That will automatically add a rectangle shape to your timeline. The path track by default will be selected. I'm going to come over here to the Controls panel. Over here is where the various shapes available to you can be applied. I'm going to temporarily undock this particular panel and I'm going to bring it over here next to the composite window to make it a little simpler to show you what is going on. Okay, I'm working in widescreen mode. This square is a rectangle because I am in widescreen mode. If you was working with footage that is not widescreen, it would appear as a square just like the old television tubes used to be. The rectangle is what I'm going to work with the most. You can also use a circle. The circle itself is really more designed as a pie chart, but you can apply video to it as well. There's an oval, there is an arrow, you can change the direction of the arrow, there is a star, you can adjust the number of points, the length of the points. There is also a medallion. I don't know why they call it a medallion, but it is what it is technically called. You can change the number of points on it as well, and their length. There is also a heart. The heart, you can control the roundness. These are somewhat limited controls, but they are available for some shape changes. I'm going to switch back to the rectangle. It actually fits the size of the video within it perfectly. I'm going to briefly come down to the rectangle track. Click on that. This brings your controls panel to the normal controls that you have available to you. You can adjust the scale here, the position within the video. You can turn it, tumble, so forth and so on. All of these particular adjustments are keyframeable. I'm going to reset that. I'm going to come back down to the path track, reselect that to bring this window back up. The rectangle itself, its adjustments, you can adjust the sides, top, bottom, etc. Reset that. The corner size as well can be adjusted. Okay, move this slider, they become quite round. You can also change it from convex to concave. Same parameters. You can put straight corners, or for a perfect rectangle, simply turn the corner size down to 0. I'm going to switch back to convex and reset to the default setup. All of these individual parameters are also keyframeable as well. I will be applying video to it momentarily, but first you have to understand the rest of the controls that are available to you. Up here you have the fill tab. The fill layer is the actual entirety of this rectangle. If I shut it off, it's going to disappear. The same thing would happen if you had a video applied to it. You can also control the opacity. Okay, one of the big reasons also for this particular setup is you can apply titles to this, but we're not working with titles today. The border allows you to do an awful lot of things. Okay, I'm going to turn on the border by clicking on this box over here. That will turn on one border. Okay, I'm going to turn the edge width way up so that it's easier for you to see. This is one of these deals where when you get to the end of the slider, if you click on the number until the double arrows show up, you can raise the parameters higher than the slider will allow you to. I'm exaggerating it to its maximum so that I can best demonstrate what you can do with this. I'm going to turn the opacity down. Okay, now you can see that this border is centered on the video. And if you look up here, here's your position tab. It is centered. You can place it to the inside or you can place it to the outside. Okay. I'm going to place it to the center for this particular demonstration. Okay, plane is the shape of the border, so to speak. A bevel changes how light reflects off of it because there are fake artificial lights within the video that create that look. Radial, you can see how it affects it differently. You can change colors. You can change the way the radial fades in and out. This stuff down here is more for creating charts and so forth and so on. I'm just going to shut this particular one off. You can actually apply 5 different borders of different shapes, locations, widths, and so forth. That is how you come up with very custom looking borders. I have 3 previously created edge styles underneath these tabs here. I'm just turning these on as an example to show you what you can do. Creative, many controls available to you. You're going to have to do some experimentation in order to figure out what type of edge style you want to apply for yourself. Come up to the shadow tab. Okay, you can apply a drop shadow. Same thing, you have to turn one on. Adjust its difference, distance, opacity, change its angle. What's kind of neat too is cast shadow. That casts a phony shadow of the entire image. These are things you can play with. I'm now going to shut that off. I'm now going to go back to the original layout. Okay. Select your rectangle. You can use your styles palette. Come to Spline, because this is a spline object. And you can actually click on these and come up with a look for your spline without creating any of the looks yourself. Now these are more for adding title tracks and putting a title within here. That's why the center changes colors so much, but you can use these because they apply good looking borders to the outside as well. It's an easy, quick way to come up with a good video-in-video look without all the work of creating it from scratch. It's pretty neat to create your own, but this is certainly a time-saving way to come up with some pretty cool looks. So now, in order to apply video, you need to be in your standard controls panel. You're going to come down here, create texture track. You're going to click on that. With this rectangle track selected, click on this. Come over here. A texture track has now been applied. As you can see, the border remains intact and the center has now turned into a different look. Anyway, I'm going to click on this. In order to add a movie file, you simply click on Movie File. Now the thing is, it has to be either an AVI movie or a QuickTime movie. I'm going to apply a QuickTime movie of these horses. Simply open them, and there they are. Now why are they faded like this? That is because I cheated and I used the style palette. Okay, I'm going to go into the controls, select rectangle, select path. I'm going to come over here under fill. The fill is on, but the opacity is turned down. Okay, I did that intentionally because I wanted you to understand how the fill layer works with your video. Now that you actually understand how to apply the video, this texture track will now help you. Okay, map method. What that means is that this video clip is a full screen video clip, and what you're seeing is a cutout portion of this portion of the video clip. I'm going to temporarily change to that very clip and open it up. Okay, can you see now how that works? Then I'm going to come down here I'm going to come back down to my path. Okay, under the clip method, you can change the position of what part of this video shows within your picture-in-picture. I'm going to temporarily change that. See how you want to do. You can even change it, stretch it, compress it. Okay, I'm just going to simply reset that. Now, the other method is stretch. When you hit stretch, you now have a full screen view in your picture-in-picture. In most cases, that's probably what you're going to want to do. Now we're going to switch back to the original clouds. Okay, now let's say that you want to have a video with not only a front side but a back side with an entirely different video. The way to do that is to turn this into an extruded spline. You can easily do this quite easily down here just by coming down to the rectangle track. Okay, change track shape. Click on that, and then switching to a 3D extrusion. However, when you do that, some of the things that you've done before are reset things. So in order to avoid confusion, I'm going to delete this track and start from scratch. Okay, so starting from scratch, we're going to select our Add Spline primitive. Down here you have a path track. We're going to now switch this to a 3D extrusion. Your path track becomes a silhouette track. But I was just pointing that out. So you understand the controls available to you in path are now available to you in silhouette mode. I'm now going to come up to the rectangle tab. I'm going to come down to the controls panel, and we're going to spin this thing so you can see some of the angles. I'm going to tumble it just a little bit as well, just so you can get a little better look at what we have going on. Because we are now in a 3D extrusion, the front, the bevel, the side, and the back are all different track layers. In order to create those, you have to come down to the textures track to enable them. I'm going to select that. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to turn them on all individually. Now I'm going to undock this control panel once again to show you some stuff that is going to occur. Okay, as I enable these individual layers, some crazy stuff is going to happen. So I'm going to enable this one first. Okay, now first off, change clip to stretch. Okay, enable your next layer. This is your extrusion layer. See how part of it is missing? First, ensure that you have selected this tab, enabling you to make adjustments, and then you're going to have to come to the clip method and switch that to stretch. And it now stretches around. Okay, we're going to enable this bevel. Part of the bevel is missing. Select this tab to make sure that you are on the bevel. Switch to stretch. It fills in just that easily. Okay, the back, I'm going to briefly take the position, spin it around so you can see the back. Okay, just to show you the back, we're going to come back over to our texture track. With that selected, turn it on. Okay, switch that to stretch. Okay, now one thing I also want to point out is I'm going to take the position and turn it slightly. So we're now going to go to the extrusion tab. Okay, now let me do this real quick. Let me change the position. Back to the extrusion tab. The top extrusion is the large extrusion. I'm just going to exaggerate that for this example. Okay, the bevel track is applied to both the front and rear images, but it is also visible from the side. This extrusion can be controlled here. You can see you can make that radically different as well. This has the ability to go with a convex shape or a concave shape. You can't really see it from this angle quite so well. I'll change that momentarily. But there is currently no bevel on the back side because you have to come over here to the back bevels tab to enable it. Simply enable it. You now have a complete, cleaner looking 3D object. I'm going to change the position slightly. I'm going to come back to our extrusion. I'm going to change straight to convex. Okay, see how that changed and how the shadows hit it a little differently? Change it to concave, and it's even different. There's a slight slope here. Okay, that shows up more as you apply colors. I'm not going to get too deep into that. This is another one of those things you need to play around with to come up with the look you want. I personally prefer convex for the way light reflects off of it. Anyway, I'm just going to spin this around to the front. I'm going to leave everything exaggerated just so it's easier to see. You simply come down to the front texture, select a movie file, and apply the same horses, and just like that, I have horses. Extrusion texture is the long, wide center. Okay, for the extrusion texture, I'm just going to use a still image file. You could apply a gradient, you could apply a movie, but I wouldn't recommend that. You can even use your style palette to apply a texture or a gradient from there. I'm just going to use a JPEG image of the bottom of a stainless steel pot. Take my rectangle, rotate it to you a little bit, and it now has kind of a metallic edge. Looks kind of okay. I'm going to come down to my bevel texture. I'm just going to apply the exact same image to avoid confusion. Okay. Back to my rectangle. You now have a metallic look all the way around. Back texture. Apply a movie file. And apply a different movie. Okay. So we now have a different video playing on the back and a different video playing on the front. You can, of course, animate this as well. Do whatever you want with it. You can also, which this move is going to screw everything up, but you can also take your rectangle, select silhouette, and change its shape. Okay, and it's basically the same thing. You know, it messed up the parameters of what I adjusted, some of them, because I changed its shape. But that's the gist of it. And, you know, you can have an awful lot of fun with this stuff. You can change it in so many different ways that I could go on for hours and hours. But now that you understand the basics, have a lot of fun. Thank you very much for watching this tutorial. And once again, thanks for tuning in. I also want to point out that Grips does Boris Graffiti tutorials as well, along with others. He has mentioned my name and done me some favors in that manner, and I want to return the favor myself. Once again, thanks for